When you're ready, Mr. Waters, you tell us about yourself and tell us what is your interest in visiting prisons and talking about mental health and reentry.
All in one response. I got you. No, can I just start whenever and go?
Yeah.
I bet. What's going on, y'all? My name is Christopher Life Willers. I am an advocate, organizer, activist, public speaker, and social content creator whose platform in the last 30 days reached over 100 million people globally. I'm somebody whose message extensively focuses on incarceration, mental health, and addiction. That is what my message will always be about. It's about the things that are tearing people down, impacting households and generations going forward. Somebody recently asked me, why is it that after 17 years of incarceration, you recently found a way to end up back in prison? And not that I got locked up, but that I went back on the inside. And the truth of the matter is, where else am I supposed to do the work?
Damn, dog, you know what the fuck?
I'm gonna try to hit like all like punchlines and all.
Oh, that shit right there that shit just fucked my soul up. Damn.
Yo.
That shit, it did, bro. Now,
Oh my God. I'm off 1 hour of sleep right now.
so the next question is,
We back in Atlanta though.
this is not your first time going back into a prison. I know the first time you went and you spoke, it was in Virginia. That was a good experience for you, you know, up and down. But this is your second time or third.
I lost track,
Okay.
honestly. I know I think it's, as far as like actually going in, this was the first time I got to like go in the prison.
Okay.
Every other time it's been like visitation or a classroom. They just walked me straight there. This time they let me rock. Like I'm walking around the compound.
You had a chance to go into the living quarters and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, I was in the
Talk
cell.
about that. Like, what was that experience for you? Because you came into a prison before, but you didn't go out. You didn't go into the living quarters.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience for you.
Yeah, man. So first I want to say thank you to the Peaceful Prisons Project and Maine Department of Corrections for allowing me to come out there. I recently posted a clip that people are gonna see, you know, in the documentary, in the vlog or whatever, where I'm walking through with the Ray-Ban. It's like first person, like this is what I see. And what I'll tell you is I was back in that mode again. When I got home from that trip, my wife looked at me immediately and she said, "Did you make your appointment yet?" And when she said that, I knew exactly what she was referring to. She was talking about, did you make your appointment for therapy this week? Which I go to therapy. But she said when she seen the clips that I sent her, how comfortable I was back on the inside, it threw her off. You know, she was a little bit concerned. You know, I didn't see it like that. But later that night, I had a nightmare, which was crazy because I never have nightmares. So I think I definitely was impacted by being in that environment. It was good. I got to go in there. At one point, I sat down. I was on the wall phone. You know, I was playing, you know, just whatever. I was back in the mix. I'm in the cell with the guys. We chopping it up. But I felt like I was back in that thing again. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I'm about to ask you a question.
What's up, Kalitha? Peace to y'all, man. There go my brother right there, man. Dominic Lasagna. Shot. What's good, man?
So, can you tell me the morning you woke up? The morning you woke up and you was about to go there, what was on your mind? Like you woke up that morning and you got up Like, tell me from the time you woke up to the time you got there.
Well, the day before, I just want to say this, right? A lot of people, they see me on social media, they see me traveling, they may have their perspective or perception on the type of work that I do. But in order for the world to see a 2 minute clip, I had to take 3 planes, a bus, 2 hours to get to my rental. So the day before, I was exhausted. Um, there was a layover. I got booted from a flight. So physically going into that thing, I probably only had about 4 hours of sleep. And I knew I was going into an environment where I was going to be given the opportunity to speak to about 200 men that were getting ready to come home, within 5 years, but nonetheless getting ready to come home. And I always want to be prepared. And anytime I have an opportunity to go do some public speaking, I'm a motivational speaker. I travel the country all the time to speak. I give myself the opportunity to kind of get into this mode. That morning, there was no opportunity for that. My thoughts were immediately aimed at the fact that I'll be going inside a prison. And I didn't know also if I'd be able to bring the cameras or not. I didn't know, how they let me rock, but I was excited to be able to fully go back on the inside because I'm always excited to make those connections with the brothers. I know what it meant to me when I was in there, and somebody from the outside came, and showed some love, and was an example. But also I did want to see how I'd respond in that environment, going all the way back in the inside, going in the cells, all that, So it was a different experience. It's unique to the fact that even though I've been home for 5.5 years, I did 17 behind the wall. And hopefully it's not like this for everybody, but for me, it kind of made me realize that I'm not that far removed from prison.
What was your wow moment when you was there? When you was in there, you was walking around, you seen the phones, you seen the request forms, you're seeing the guys, and when you was walking, and you was at the moment, you was like, wow. When was your wow moment while you was in there?
The wow moment was just when I walked into their dorm and I knew I was in prison. The setup, if you've been to one prison, you've been to them all. But the other, I guess the real wow moment was when I walked in the pod, I began to scan it just like I would scan a pod when I was incarcerated. I immediately was paying attention to my surroundings, the guys walking around. I was paying attention to the landmarks in the pod. That means the microwave, the phones, and not on purpose. That was subconscious. But I did want to know how the pod was laid out. But yeah, there was some moments where it felt like it was back and forth.
So, did you see the difference between the institutions that you visit, opposing to the institutions that you were in? What was the difference?
Yeah. So, and another perspective of the wow is this prison in particular didn't have a fence around it. Anybody, have you ever been to a prison without a fence around it? Yeah, me neither. So Maine only has about 3,000 plus people locked up. I might have butchered that number. I'm gonna have to go back and do a fact check. But from what I was looking at, from what I've been learning, and on this particular correctional center, there's about 200 men. All of them have 5 years or less. If you have 3 years or less, you can put in for home confinement, and you can also work in the community. So you got guys up there on that prison walking home or walking out with $90,000, buying houses, because they're working 16-hour days and they're making the same amount of money that somebody makes on the street without bills. So it's a unique thing, man. They've got a lot of hard tangibles up there too. Like they're getting ready to get fridges in the cells. We would never see that in Virginia where I was at. You know what I'm saying? So it's different in the fact that yo, them guys are blessed, respectfully, considering a lot of the places I've been. So that was definitely a wow moment for sure.
So, while you was incarcerated, did you ever see into any, inmates struggling with mental health illnesses? And if so, what do you think that they should do about that? And do they have anything there in Maine to, resolve issues of mental health?
Man, I struggled with mental health when I was I don't have to talk about anybody else. I talk about me. I'm somebody, when I was incarcerated, suffered like a lot of brothers and sisters, man. Severe depression, anxiety, being stuck in fight or flight. For me, it had got so severe they had tried to put me on medications or whatnot. And what I say is, for where I was at in Virginia, that was kind of like the one size fits all technique. They're going to try to give you medicine, turn you into a zombie, in my opinion. Mental health support really isn't mental health support. Hopefully they're getting better, but that was my experience. I've seen plenty of brothers in there that were sane, thinking individuals, and then the next month they weren't. They were off their rocker and they couldn't get the assistance they needed because they were sliding mentally. In Maine, I haven't been up there enough, man. The vibe I get is that there needs more mental health support up there. There need more addictive program support up there. There's a need for certain things like that, I think, when it comes to soft skills. Because when I was having conversations with the guys, they said, this doesn't really happen here like that, which I know they do. Again, shout out to the Peaceful Prisons Project. There's some organizations that are coming up there doing some great work and, interacting with the guys and supporting them forward. But that was the overall conversation. Like, they need more support in those areas. All right, now I'm about to switch my tone.
Now, you did
Appreciate
tell
that,
me,
y'all.
how many prisons did you go to when you was incarcerated? Like, how many spots were you at? And compared to where you was at in Maine, if your re-entry process was going there in Maine, would your transition be different today than it is right now?
I went from Haynesville receiving, Sussex 2, back to Haynesville, back to Sussex 2, Greensville, St. Bride's, Camp 17, Nottoway Work Center. So I don't know how many camps that was, but those are all the places I went to. Nottoway Work Center had no reentry. It was a joke. It's funny, in VA, like level 2s, they got reentry, but if you're level 1 minimum, which, by the way, I wasn't even supposed to be on a level 1. They wouldn't let me off the camp, so I shouldn't have even been up there. There's no reentry support up there. There's no mental health support. They're focused on just making sure guys make money. So when I think about places like Maine and how I would have been walking out that door, I wonder what happens when an individual has $80,000 to their disposal. They haven't been free in 12 years. But they haven't got the right type of mental health support. Or maybe they're still suffering from addiction, and now they're free and they got access and money. Like, it's good to have money for once. Like, the things that battle us are financial, obstacles and all those. But what does an individual do when they have that money? So I'd like to see what happens, with these men when they're walking out the door with those large sums, and what happens, what does their path look like going forward? Are they starting businesses? Some of them are from the inside. And I also want to say this. I know the guys that are on the Maine state prison that are serving and working as certified peer specialists online, and they're doing life sentences. Like, that's how unique Maine is. You can have a life sentence and be working. So it's definitely a different situation up there.
From your personal opinion, when do you think reentry should stop for a person?
Reentry should start at the door, man. When an individual walks into the prison or jail, we'll just say prison, reentry should start. We wait until the last year after somebody's been in a war zone for 20 years, and we expect 20 years of trauma to be addressed in a 1 year weekly structured system that's sending monsters and damaged people home back into society. The narrative is the same, man. The majority of individuals come home from prison have PTSD, anxiety, they go back into addiction, they end up recidivating, they're back in prison. Like, that's why reentry should start at the gate, like day one when the individual. There should be intense programming, mental health support, addiction support, all the things consistently and constantly. So 20 years of that, by the time the individual comes home, more than good to go. They got the tools needed to survive out here.
If you could change one thing about the prison system, what would it be?
Mental health support. Like I recently became a CPSMH, so I'm big on mental health. We just don't have enough of it. This year alone, the rates of people taking their own lives are soaring. They're going through the ceiling. And, not to shine a light just on the brothers because it's impacting everybody as a whole, but specifically men and formerly incarcerated men. Like, we make up 50% of the population, but 80% of that percentage of people that are taking their own lives. That's mental health. When people are battling addiction and they're coming home and they're relapsing and all that, that's because there's unaddressed trauma that hasn't been processed or dealt with, so they go back to that. So it's just mental health support in an intense way. And I'd bring in things like neurotherapy and bring in some different opportunities for the guys to really get their trauma treated. And you'd probably see whole different human beings, honestly.
What advice would you give someone just entering the prison system?
Advice I would give somebody just entering the prison system: mind your business. Like, mind your business. Like, do not get involved with the politics if you don't have to. That's going to vary depending on the state, the city. I understand that. But don't go volunteering for it. Don't go into debt. Learn to be hungry. If your commissary money ain't hit, wait 2 weeks. Do some burpees at night for dinner. You know what I'm saying? Don't gossip. That goes with mind your business. It's the basic things, just respecting people, be clean, stand on your own too, because you are going to get tested. Tests come in different ways though, but be ready when it comes.
What motivates you to visit and observe other prisons after your own experience?
We need a voice. People that are locked up, people that are formerly incarcerated need a voice. I'm an advocate, and I get up every single day and I try to figure out new ways to shine a light on, this ugly thing called prison. Monsters exist, prison should too. I'm not one of those people that says the wall should all come down. But there's too many people that are in there that should not be. There's too many people that are in there that should have second chances. There's too many people in there that are innocent, negligence in cases, not the correct legal defense, all of these things. So I'll just continue to tell the story, and so far we're making an impact. So keep doing that.
Do you feel that your voice and experience can help improve the justice system, and if so, how?
I feel like anybody's voice of somebody that's been impacted by incarceration that can give a true perspective to what incarceration is can help improve it once they find a place where they can be heard. So I'm always encouraging people to tell their story, use their voice. I'm getting ready to do something specifically for solitary confinement, because that's something and somewhere I was for over 3 years of my life. 3 years I can't get back. 14 of those months, some would say that's just behind some vindictive correctional officers, But the impact on my mental health, man, it's to this day.
Do you think solitary confinement should be used on inmates with mental health issues?
It's funny. In some states, solitary confinement is the solution for somebody with a mental health issue. I remember when I was on Camp 17 and I had called home and found out my little brother had took his own life. And I went to the CO to tell him, like, yo, I think I need like a second. Like, I just got to, get my composure. and because we're in a dorm environment. And the first thing he says, we just cleared out a hole in the cell in the hole for you. So now you got me in the hole, solitary confinement. I'm somebody that's diagnosed depression, depressive mood disorder, all these things, whatever. And my brother took his life, and now I'm in there, and the walls are closing in, you know? Because they didn't just put me in there and keep the door open. They put me in there and shut the door, lock the door, because other people were down there in solitary confinement too. But nah, that should not be. I was across from an individual who took his own life. I was while in solitary confinement. I was across from an individual who lost his life when he was detoxing. You know, solitary confinement is a place that is destroying people, if not physically, mentally.
Do you think that officers, as well as other staff members, should be trained on how to deal with people with mental health issues?
Yeah, most definitely. I think one thing I like what they did in Virginia is some of the officers were starting to become treatment officers. I don't know, what happened with that, or if that progressed anymore. I haven't checked in on that, but these officers had certain trainings dealing with social interactions with the incarcerated population, mental health trainings, etc. So they were kind of like a hybrid between a counselor and an officer. It takes less time to become an officer than it does for somebody to become a barber. So I think training overall needs to be more. Like, that's the bottom line. That's why we're seeing the negligence and the abuse and everything else that we're seeing in prison. The training isn't thorough enough.
What are some reforms that could help inmates transition back into society more successful?
It's cope for me. It's always going to sound, but it's coping skills, financial literacy, mental health, addiction support. Those are the things. I don't really see anything outside of that wheelhouse. Of course, individual, spiritually, or whatever, that foundation. But no, that's it. When we come home from prison, we need to know how not to go back when we get, pissed off, and we need to know how to make money and sustain it. We need to know how to work a bank account. Unfortunately, a lot of people I know, they don't fully understand how to use a bank, and that's scary. And I'm not just talking about the people that's been incarcerated. I'm 41, came home 5.5 years ago, and I probably got more financial literacy than a lot of people I know. And that's not a knock on anybody, because a lot of people will come to me and I had to learn from somebody. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons we going back. Yeah.
So, I gotta ask you this question right here, brother. You have been through a lot since you've been home. A whole lot since you've been home. What does the future look like to you? What does your future look like to you?
What my future looks like to me is just doing the work and following God. That's it. I'm in a different place now at 41. I've gone through a shift, I think, in the last 12 months through experience, exposure, through support. And I say follow God, do the work, because what I've learned in this journey, that if I just keep working on me, the opportunities are going to come. And not the opportunities where I'm just out here, hey, no, the opportunities are going to be the type that'll allow me to cause an impact and help people. So wherever that's at, there's a part of me that is thinking about maybe one day eventually, because I feel like I'm going to be on the road for a minute, but maybe going into ministry. There's a part of me, individuals are wondering if I'm going to go into politics, what the next level of leadership is. I don't know. I might just chill here. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's going to be maximum potential or maximum effort, and we're going to meet that potential, and we're going to try to impact the world.
One more thing. I just have to stop there because I ain't want that to be connected. In closing, can you just tell me your overall experience in Maine, from like your total observation of Maine? Let us hear it.
Total observation of Maine is they can teach a few states a thing or two Of course, I got to see more. I don't feel like there's any state that has it all figured out, but I feel like they definitely have figured some things out. They're giving individuals the opportunity to go into society and work with somebody by their side so they can get used to being in society again. Me, I came home, 17 years of prison, went to McDonald's one morning, had a panic attack. Like each individual that I spoke to, they did speak about the value of that, being able to slowly reintegrate into society. The individuals spoke about being able to be financially sound. A lot of those men are supporting their families from there. Like that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? And the right way, because they'd rather work 16 hours and just sleep for 8 because they're locked up. What else is there to do other than be productive? But like I said, I am curious about mental health support. My next trip out there, I want to see what they do as far as addiction support and just seeing what happens with those soft skills, those types of classes and programs where they teaching in those areas. But overall, I look forward to it, man. Maine left a mark on me. Peaceful Prisons Project, Abby and her team, amazing. Rebels in their own right, and look forward to reconnecting with them up there. And going up there is the part of my journey I get to enjoy. You know, that's the part for myself. You know, it's tiring, it's grueling. Right now, as we're doing this, this is my third city in 4 days. You know, I probably had a few hours of sleep here and there. But for somebody that was in solitary confinement for over 3 years, somebody that was locked up for close to 17, somebody that wasn't seen by the world is now able to be heard by the world, and for the right reasons. So grateful.
You did mention something about the staff, but I do want you to kind of go into little details about staff. When you went in there, how did you view the staff members? How were they?
You know, I spoke a little bit about how going back in that environment, I felt like the old me again a little bit. So the old me, when I was in that environment, I would size everybody up. Not like I'm trying to fight everybody, I'm not. But yo, I wonder if I can trick him out of something. If he gonna be in the way, you know, the things that you do for survival in there, especially when it comes to the staff. I'm not supporting or condoning. I'm just telling you who I was. So when I went into that environment, I don't know. I don't want to say anything unfair, but what I will say this is they've got a way easier job in Maine than they do in Georgia. You know, Georgia, where the homicide rates behind the wall are elevating every week, where real work is being done up there, there's no fences. So that tells you how much they're really having to do, which is good. And I met I spoke to one of the correctional officers up there, like really sat down, chopped it up with him. I spoke to the director. Good people. They take them on camping trips. You ever heard of somebody locked up go on camping trips? 3 days and 3 nights.
No, sir.
So they can learn how to fish and learn how to appreciate nature. So when they go home, they don't have to learn how to go to the park to take a walk. Because a lot of us, we don't know that we free. When we come home, we just stay at the house. Real talk. They take you to the park, go camp. So now when you go home, you know, you could do these same things. You could take your son. You could take your nephew. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. It's those things, the humanistic qualities of Maine, I really appreciate it. You know.
For those who are watching this documentary, whether it be people that's incarcerated or other prisons, what would you like to say to them?
Don't give up. Right now, 2025, it's a unique period in our time. I said it a few days ago when I was given the opportunity to speak. I feel wholeheartedly that we're living through a period of time that'll be discussed in history books far after we're gone. But you got to remain strong. You know, we are in a period of time where we all know what's right and what's wrong. regardless of the environment you're in, and everybody needs to know that they're worth more than what the message is being pumped out there right now in the society and in the prisons. You are valuable. If you've been through hell and back, your voice is more powerful than those that haven't. Because of the things you've suffered through, you're able to go into a space and shake that room. And you're able to cause an impact. And you're able to stand up in front of people and say, I survived this. This will not destroy you. And that's where the power lies. So if you're in prison, if you're the loved one of somebody that's incarcerated, if you're suffering through a moment, the cheat code to it all is that you're actually being strengthened right now as we speak. It's the only way we get strong, is when we go through those moments of pain. And it's that pressure that creates us. So keep getting stronger and also keep uniting. There is a horrible undercurrent right now when it comes to a lot of advocates and organizations. There's a lot of silent beefs and political, I don't know what it is, man, between individuals, and we got to remember what we're doing this for. We are fighting for people that need to be home. We're not fighting for views. We're not fighting so somebody's name can be on a flyer, their organization can be in the center of the flyer. That's not what this is about. We are literally still trying to abolish slavery.
What prisons, in what state would you like to visit?
Anywhere they have me, but on my radar right now is Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama. I really want to hit the Southern Delta, these southern states. Definitely, I'm getting ready to head out to Texas, getting ready to head back out to Cali, back to Maine. You know, there's some states already lined up, but I want to go where it's the worst of the worst. I want to go to New Orleans. I want to go to the jail where the 11 men were able to escape. You know, I want to understand why. You know, I want to go anywhere where the story needs to be told, anywhere that will allow me. Thought.
No, you might.
Oh, me too, bro.
Wake up. Wake up.
I'm up, man.
Wake up. Great
I'm up.
session.
What up, y'all? If you got more questions, man, you could definitely, if we got to ask any more.
No, we about to travel, right?
Yeah.
So as we going, I'm getting more.
Yeah.
I'm getting more.
I don't know where we going.
Oh, shit.
Wow, man. We about to travel, y'all. Peace, y'all, man. I appreciate everybody that was up here, man. We getting ready to do a, put together a documentary, man, for my recent trip to Maine, Back Inside. Somebody said, when is Netflix going to make a TV show? Everybody got to tag Netflix for me, man. They need to give me a show. I ain't going to say they need to give me a show, but I think it'll be fire if they give me a show. We're going to definitely put on for them. I see y'all questions too, man. What we may do a little bit later, just because I was answering some questions for the documentary or whatnot. Definitely start going live and answering y'all questions direct. Want to get back into that. And if there's specific times that y'all feel like going live will work best, let me know. Schedule is kind of flexible. We can definitely make time for it, man, because I appreciate y'all, man. And that's it, man. Peace to y'all.